The World Wrestling Entertainment Incorporated, or WWE, is an American integrated media and entertainment company that is primarily known for professional wrestling. WWE has also branched out into other fields, including movies, football, and various other business ventures. The WWE name also refers to the professional wrestling promotion itself, which was founded in 1953 as the Capital Wrestling Corporation. With such a long history, the show was bound to have some criticism, but some of its criticism is coming from pro fighters. We are intrigued and decided to take a closer look at what pro fighters think about WWE. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Jon Jones' statement. Jonathan Dwight Jones is a mixed martial artist currently signed to the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, where he has competed in the light heavyweight division. He's a former two-time UFC light heavyweight champion, holding the title from March 2011 to April 2015 and from December 2018 to August 2020. Jones also held the interim UFC light heavyweight championship in 2016. As of March 23, 2021, he is number 1 in the UFC men's pound-for-pound rankings. Jones recently raised eyebrows when he said it's inevitable he'll work with WWE one day. The way it was said has drawn attention from WWE wrestlers like Becky Lynch, who said, "I think people think this is a cakewalk," the Raw Women's Champion said. "There's nothing like what we do, and it's not as simple as just walking in here. You have to make a name for yourself, and you have to be obsessed with this. You have to love this. This isn't a thing where you have one fight every 6 months. This is a thing where you are fighting 3, 4, sometimes 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And for people to sometimes think that it's an easy thing that they can just stroll into, it kind of irks me. It irks me. It does. Because I love this business. I love it more than anything. And if he, Jones, loves it like I do, well then come on along. I'll show you the ropes. But if he doesn't, he just wants to make some easy money, this ain't the way to do it." Lynch made similar statements in 2019 about Conor McGregor and Chris Cyborg, both of whom have also been linked to WWE. Conor McGregor statement. Conor McGregor caused outrage within the world of professional wrestling after the UFC champion boldly called WWE superstars messed up wussies on a conference call promoting his UFC 202 rematch with Nate Diaz in August 2016. McGregor, the ex-UFC featherweight champion who moved up 2 weight classes to welterweight for a rematch of his March loss to Diaz at UFC 196, was asked about whether a crossover in WWE could be in his future. Aside from former UFC champ Ronda Rousey making an appearance alongside The Rock at WrestleMania 31 in 2015, the transition from professional fighter to wrestler at the highest level is almost non-existent. Oppositely, however, Brock Lesnar and CM Punk have both moved their careers from WWE to UFC competition. "I have thought about WWE," McGregor said on the call. "For the most part, I think these guys are wussies, to be honest. They're messed up wussies if you ask me. Fair play to Brock. He got in and fought, but at the end of the day, he was juiced up to the effing eyeballs. How could I respect that? The other guy, CM Punk, hasn't fought yet, so I don't know about him yet." Wrestling fans don't take their idols being called out in such a manner lightly, and McGregor was bombarded with harassment online following his comments. In typical The Notorious fashion, though, the brash Irishman did not apologize. Instead, he took to his official Twitter account and doubled down. "I didn't mean no respect to the WWE fans," McGregor wrote. "What I meant to say was that I'd slap the head off your entire roster, and twice on Sundays." McGregor's follow-up comment didn't merely spark a reaction from the WWE fan base. It caused the athletes themselves to speak up, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 either. McGregor got a rise out of several legendary and noteworthy names, all of whom were none too pleased by his challenge. Ric Flair took to Twitter and responded, "Coming from a guy who built a career copying my persona, I expected the type of class we get from Ronda or Anderson." In a follow-up tweet, he wrote, "After Diaz finishes you again, I dare you to try guys like Dolph, Rock, or Fit. Oh, you're welcome for your gimmick." McGregor would go on to beat Diaz in what seemed like a great comeback, but his career was on a downward spiral. Kurt Angle also responded on Twitter with, "Very funny, little guy. Why don't you get your head out of Dana White's butt?" Roman Reigns' response was kinda funny. "You're the size of my leg. Shut up." John Layfield also had a funny comeback. "Hey, at the Notorious MMA, if you put on some weight, you might make WWE Cruiserweight division." Conan the Barbarian responded, "Yikes, looks like the Notorious MMA could really use a bowl of bootios right about now. Someone hook him up. Sorry, pal, no disrespect to you, but my fights are legit, unlike the fixed fights you have in UFC. I'll embarrass you," Chris Jericho tweeted. Even Sasha Banks got in on the action, tweeting, "Bring it." Chris Cyborg also talked about joining the WWE. The 34-year-old Cyborg signed with Bellator after a stint in UFC that saw her win and hold the UFC Women's Featherweight Championship before dropping it to Amanda Nunes at UFC 232. Cyborg owns a 24-2 professional record with 1 no contest, and she is perhaps the biggest name in women's MMA, aside from former UFC star and current WWE superstar Ronda Rousey. Bellator MMA star Chris Cyborg has long teased a potential foray into professional wrestling, and she confirmed that interest interest during a 2019 interview. According to Damon Martin of MMA Fighting, Cyborg said she would entertain the possibility of wrestling for either of the top 2 wrestling promotions in the United States. I love both AEW and WWE, and the fans of professional wrestling are always stopping me in the street, asking me when I'm going to have a wrestling match. If the opportunity presents itself and the deal makes sense, I would love to challenge myself with pro wrestling. Cyborg was also quite casual about her chances in WWE. It must be said that with her record in MMA, she might just be allowed her confidence. As someone who is often credited as one of the main catalysts of WWE's women's revolution, Becky Lynch has consistently proven to be a force to be reckoned with on SmackDown Live. As a result, it should probably be no surprise that she's gained the attention of Chris Cyborg, who went as far as to issue an open challenge to Lynch on Twitter. In an interview, Lynch said, "I think it's great. I think it's great that one of the premier female athletes in the UFC and mixed martial arts today, as soon as she won her championship, called me out. Oh, I welcome that challenge. I think it's really awesome that she is looking at our product and wanting to engage in it. I feel like people who have seen what we, as the women, have done and how we've developed the sport and made it such a main part of the show and something that people are so invested in that she wants a piece of the pie. But we spend all of our time cooking the pie, so we're keeping it for ourselves." The sentiment amongst MMA fighters regarding WWE. With so many MMA fighters having a casual attitude towards WWE and the fact that WWE itself confirms that their matches are fixed, it is probably fair to say that MMA fighters do not see the WWE as a great challenge. The WWE may be fixed, but it is not fake, and the MMA fighters must be able to take a blow or two. That, of course, is not really an issue for MMA fighters who are constantly engaged in very painful fights. WWE jokes. There is a tendency amongst top fighters not to take WWE seriously, and the jokes out there say it all. I do not know if I will be willing to confront The Rock with these jokes, though. What's the difference between US politics and WWE? One is a predetermined charade that takes a tremendous amount of willingness to suspend disbelief, and the other is pro wrestling. What's the difference between a WWE wrestler and a soccer player? A WWE wrestler will get up after faking an injury. Of course, the actual opposite is true. There is a lot of showmanship in WWE, but the athletes who compete are still expected to put their bodies on the line, and no matter how well staged the fights are, accidents still happen. There are many pro wrestlers, like the recently deceased Mr. Wonderful, whose career was cut short due to injury. If the WWE was so fake, how could career-ending injuries happen? We have come to the end of the video for today. What do you think about the attitude of MMA fighters towards WWE? Thank you for watching. Be so kind as to return. Until then, take care.